Hello, beautiful souls, awakened souls, star seeds. Welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny. So today I want to talk to you about signs from your soul. I know that a lot of people have questions about this and have, especially since my last video about my life update and how I followed the signs from my soul. And so I know that we can get ourselves confused about, is it a sign or is it my ego, and like all of these things. So let's talk about it a little bit more in detail. I've got a couple of perspectives that I think might be new and helpful for you. But before we jump in, I just want to remind you to like this video, share this video, and subscribe for new videos every Sunday and Wednesday on this channel. Okay, so the new perspective that I wanted to, I'm just going to dive right in. The new perspective that I wanted to talk about was, just like at the beginning, psychic gifts are really subtle. They're so subtle. And people don't realize that, and so they don't think they're experiencing them. And that's a whole video, maybe. It's exactly the same with your signs from your soul. They can be really subtle at the beginning. If you don't listen, they tend to get louder, or the more tuned in you are with that, then they also get more obvious and loud, just like with psychic gifts again. So they start out really subtle, but then the more attention you put on them, because your attention makes everything grow. That is how powerful you are. Your attention magnifies everything. You put your attention on something, it grows and becomes more obvious, right? So that's true with psychic gifts, and that's true with signs from your soul. So you need to be self-aware. You need to put your attention on these things. But I can also understand that at the beginning, when it's subtle, it's really easy to get confused and think, is it my ego? Is it fear? Is it a sign from my soul? Like, what is it? Especially when, you know, your soul signs or your higher self is asking you to leave something that feels comfortable, like a relationship or a job or a home or something. Well, then fear enters in, and then we try to talk ourselves out of these things, right? I know that you've probably been there. I've been there, right? And that is the ego. The ego is the fear trying to talk you out of it and then get you all confused. So I would say that if you viewed signs from your soul like breadcrumbs, and if you follow the trail of breadcrumbs, they're going to lead you somewhere so good. Because your highest timeline exists, it's real, and it's a potential, and it's a possibility for you. It's there. It's a timeline, like fork in the road, that exists. It's not a fairy tale. It's not like vague, you know, like some people talk about like enlightenment or whatever, and it can seem really vague. This is not vague. This is a real physical life that exists. And all it takes is a couple of hard curve balls, maybe a few hard decisions, a lot of courage and bravery to get there. But you can get there in no time, like within a year. I know that you can. I know that you can. Your highest timeline is not a far off in the future, you know, when I retire or when I'm a millionaire or when. No. You could get on path right now and be there maybe in less than a year. So I guess the question is then, how do you follow the breadcrumbs? It's a trail of breadcrumbs that your soul leaves you of little subtle signs for you to follow. But how do you do that? You have to recognize them, okay? So here's how subtle they are. I just want to give you like an example. So if you were looking at a graph, like a pie graph chart, and the 100% is the whole pie, imagine that you were only receiving like 5%. 2, 3, 4, 5%, like just an inkling, a tiny little hint of something. If even 2% of you, 3%, 4%, 5%, something in a really small amount thinks, ooh, was that a sign? It was a sign, okay? That's how subtle it is at the beginning. And then you're going to be like, is this my imagination? Is this my ego? Am I making this up? It's a sign. If just the smallest percent of you thinks it might be, it is. I guarantee you that it is. That is how subtle I'm talking. But when you follow those tiny, tiny little, almost not even there breadcrumbs, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. It requires faith, and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden it's like so obvious. They're like road signs pointing you in the direction of your highest timeline and of your dreams. So another example, like I took a course within the last, I don't know, a little while ago, maybe 6 months ago or something. And I kind of felt like I needed to be re-inspired, and I needed something for my own personal spiritual journey, right? For my business, but also for my own personal growth too. And I didn't really know what it was. I wasn't really thinking of taking a course. I didn't know what it was. I was thinking like, do I need a healing? Like, what do I need? You know when you need something. So there's the first soul nudge. Tiny little, oh, something like I'm not feeling strong. I'm not feeling passionate. I'm not feeling inspired. I'm feeling a little lost. That's the first sign, okay? That's a sign from your soul. That's a breadcrumb. Recognize it. Okay, you've done that. As soon as you recognize it and you give it a voice or whatever, you're on the trail of breadcrumbs. Then the next thing, I remember a couple of days later scrolling through Instagram and seeing a trailer, like someone talking about a course that they were offering. And some of the words that they were using hit something inside of me, like a little ping in my gut or in my heart maybe. I think it was more my gut though. I feel a lot in my solar plexus. It was like a little, ooh, like a little jolt, and then it was gone. And it was so subtle. And I remember being like, was that a sign? Remember what I said. As soon as you're saying, was that a sign? It's a sign. That's another tiny breadcrumb. But you have to have faith and start walking in that direction. Okay. How do you start walking in that direction? Let me look into this a little deeper. Let me read more about this course. Let me, like I think I maybe possibly felt something. That's the sign. And then you start looking into it a little bit more. And then the more you look into it, if you feel a tiny another little ping as confirmation, even though it's so subtle, that's it. Now it's up to you. Your soul has done 3 tiny little pings of subtlety. That's all it can get through to you, maybe in the state that you're in. Maybe your mind is really clouded with thoughts. Maybe you're full of fear. Maybe your ego's being really loud. Maybe you've got some anxiety. Maybe you haven't been sleeping. Your soul's doing what it can to get the little pings. That was probably a lot of effort to even get that amount through. You have to have faith and trust in the tiniest little bits of something. That's magic. When you follow it, I'm telling you, you're going to make big strides, big changes, big growth. I went way out on a limb and like, I don't even know if I felt anything. I remember thinking like, I don't even know, but I'm going to go for it because I think maybe I did. And I'm just going to go. And it was the most aligned experience I've had in a long time. The course was everything that I needed to move forward, to gain confidence, to reconnect, all of the things, all the magic, right? And I remember being like, what if I hadn't followed those signs? I would still be lost. I would still be, oh, like I don't even want to think of that timeline. Like that timeline probably exists somewhere where I didn't follow the signs, but I'm going to live in the timeline where I did. And here I am with all of the rewards of that, right? So use that example for your own self. Like what little tiny breadcrumbs are you being given? Is it about a potential job opportunity, or maybe the opposite, like, oh, this isn't the right job anymore? Is it something to do with your health, your body, your family, your relationship, some kind of form of new spiritual work? Like, you know, are you all of a sudden intrigued by something like Kundalini? And you're like, oh, I don't know. I think I kind of felt a little interest. Oh, and then you kind of do a little research and you're like, that's really interesting. Sign. That's your signs. Okay, as soon as you're interested enough to look something up or research it, it's for you. Open your heart to what's in front of you. Go for it. Start making bigger moves, right? Be bold. Be courageous. Be brave. Do things with your life. Utilize the time that you have here on earth. We do not have a ton of time before the event is coming in. And it's going to be beautiful, but we want to be prepared as we can to be in a good spot and then to be able to help others through it. Because when that solar flash of mass awakening happens, so many souls are going to need help. Do you remember what it's like when you first start to awaken? You feel like you're going crazy. You feel lost. You feel like you're dying. You feel all of the hard stuff at the beginning. They're going to need so much help. You need to help yourself first. before you can help someone else. Fill your cup up now. Get on your highest timeline now. This is the time to get on your highest timeline. It won't take you long if you follow the breadcrumbs. And you start making wild changes, despite what family and friends say, despite what your ego says, despite what fear says. You just do it anyway because you think that maybe you felt a sign, because it was a sign, and that's how subtle it is. And then as soon as you follow it, you will receive so much confirmation that you'll be like, oh man, what if I didn't do that? Oh, I would still be over there, and now I get to be here. Like, just please follow the breadcrumbs and follow the signs. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is right now, but how subtle it is, right? So I just wanted to talk about this today because I've been describing it like that to people, some clients lately, and it's been helping them. Like the pie graph, I like graphs and charts and everything. And I'm like, if you even 2% think that maybe, potentially, it might possibly, maybe be a sign, it's a sign. That's how it works. That's how it works at the beginning of whatever journey of breadcrumbs it's going to take you to. They start out so tiny that you almost don't follow the path because it doesn't really look like a path in the beginning. It's so little, and then they get bigger and it becomes a little more of an obvious path until it's easy to follow. Okay, so use the breadcrumbs, use the 2% example. Let me know what you think below. I hope that this video helped you. I hope that you're trusting enough in the inklings and following those signs and on your way to your highest timeline, which is waiting for you. I love you all so much. Remember, if you want more clarity, sign up to work with me. I have breakthrough sessions that are so powerful where you get to talk to your team through me, questions and answers, whatever you want to talk about, ask about. It's open, right? So that's a very customizable reading because you're in control of directing that reading. It's a Q&A with your team, right? So amazing. So I hope to hear from you. And if you're ready, for more, if you're ready, if you're ready, come join the membership. We are doing so much work together, so many astral missions, making such an impact on the planet and on awakening and on the state of humanity and the evolution of consciousness. Like, join the membership if you're ready. And once again, thank you for being here. I love you. Always remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. I love you, Starseeds. Have a beautiful day. Bye.